Welcome to the Do Good Work podcast, and today we're going to be going over the key lesson I give my clients to achieve growth. So growth seems to be a law of life. We operate at our best in a positive growth mindset. We want our bodies to grow healthy. We want our families to grow well into their future. We even express our love to someone in a giving, growth, expansion manner. Expanding, giving to the other person. And undoubtedly, as entrepreneurs, we want our business to grow. But it isn't the sexy strategy or the latest hack that will allow you to actually grow. To grow not only in your business, but in all areas of your life that matter to you, you must focus on how you show up daily and execute, moving closer to reach your growth goals. And here is an uncommon fact that I believe in, that I've seen in, and that I think you haven't heard before, is that most people will actually reach their goals, given that they actually put in the consistent work to achieve them. Now, you might have heard in the past that the negative downfall is that, most people don't write their goals, most people never reach their goals. I think it's actually everyone is capable, including you right now listening to this, is capable to achieving your goal, given that you actually put in the consistent work to achieve them. In showing up daily, whether you feel like it or not. But the trouble is, as humans, we exist in time. Well, this might not be a trouble, but this is the reality, right? We exist in time and we live through every passing moment. So staying consistent over time can become a struggle, which is why it's important to focus on how we show up to our day. And here is the key lesson that I give my clients to succeed in their work, to have more peace of mind, more clarity, to work at their best, lower stress levels, and to be happier at work. It's called the 80-20 day optimization, and it's an exercise that we're going to be doing together right now on this podcast. If you're driving or you're on the move, do this mentally in your mind, but work to press pause later and take out a piece of paper and pen. If you're at your office, take out a piece of paper and pen right now, please. And yes, the old school paper and pen, not a notepad on the desktop. So from now on, you will be breaking down your day into 5 separate segments. Here are the 5 segments. 1, your morning routine. 2, your 80-20 time. 3, your daily work. 4, your build-up time. And 5, your evening and night routine. So we're going to dive into each of these sections of your day, giving you some advice, some of my rules around each of these, and giving you, clear direction so that you can have this framework and actually map out your ideal day, your 80-20 day. And to note, you may not get it right on the first shot. You may not actually execute this perfectly. That's perfectly fine. It's normal, actually. But as you make the change, write down what you can do better and try it tomorrow. Keep tweaking, keep optimizing, keep improving. And it is a day in, day out work. This is not a one set and you're perfect the next day. I only say this right now before we dive in because I really want you to encourage you, because the benefits are real to really succeeding, showing up at your peak, having more clarity, and being happier at work and throughout your whole day, feeling more accomplished. This is the process that works. I'm going to dive into it with you here. So first, your morning routine. You call the shots here. You decide what time you'll wake up every single day, and you'll decide what to do after you wake up. It's that simple. If you wake up and you meditate, or you pray, or you exercise, or you go for a walk, or you do all of the above, this is your time. You set the flow. My only rule for your morning routine is do not check the noise of the world. Emails, notifications, pings, Slacks, tweets. Have quiet, have peace, have focus. This is really important. Now, before we dive into the second section, I'm going to give you a quick recap of what 80-20 means. 80-20, again, is Pareto's principle that 20% of your efforts equal 80% of your results. It's not always perfect that way, but it is a simple rule or characteristic that we can use. So the second section is called 80-20 time. And here is where we will begin our work to push the most important projects you're working on forward. And we'll talk about intake or receiving later, but right here in your 80-20 time, after you finish your morning routine, you're pushing life into the world. You're making your projects and your goals come to life. And the ideal segment, the ideal time for this segment is 2 to 3 hours. The minimum is an hour, but I recommend 2 to 3 hours. If you don't have that time, I would have you ask yourself, like, how important are your projects? How important is the work you're doing? How important are your goals? And if they are important, you will make time for them. So that's all I'll say about that. So here you're pushing daily and in the morning. This has benefits from brain science that your mind is at high alerts, you have high energy levels, and some people might focus, later in the evening. And if that's your peak time and it's proven to be your peak time, great. But I recommend in the morning after your morning routine. And you focus on the 1 to 3, ideally no more than 3 important action items to move forward, to make progress on your goals. My only 2 rules here is that you come prepared, and I'll show you how later in this podcast, and to shut out the noise of the world. Do not disturb. Now we can get into the third section of the day called your daily work. Here, you can come get your cortisol rush, open those emails, open those messages, turn on those notifications, get your first intake of the day. So your 80-20 time was push, your daily work is intake. You take the intake of the day and address the opportunities and address the work of the day. Solve new problems, focus on meeting with people. But my only rule here, see, I have these little things called rules every here and now and then, but these are really helpful for you. My only rule here is that you set time, have a set time of when you take meetings and calls. Because if you don't do what I'm about to show you, you will have calls sporadic throughout the day and you will accomplish nada, zip, zilch, very little, be super stressed, 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there, maybe an hour time block here to finish something. Not good. Not good at all. So what we want to do is have a set time of calls where you will be focused on those calls, not on sending someone a message, an email, writing a post. And we have to be disciplined to only take calls during those times and training those around us those are the times that we are available. Now, sometimes it's not prudent to be super rigorous, and maybe you should adapt to the person that wants to meet with you. I would use your best judgment here. Like, you don't have to be an ironclad, this is the time. If you can't meet that time, we cannot have a discussion. But I would have a time where, like, for you to have, a set time. And if the circumstance is correct or given your decision-making process, I would be prudent to, bend that, be more flexible depending on whom or you're talking to or the situation that you're going to be discussing. But for the most part, if you don't have this set time, you will be at the mercy of someone else's schedule. And I'm willing to bet that most people that you work with do not have this process already. And if they do, well, then now you can really collaborate what best time works for both of you, or if you can actually take your conversation asynchronous, which is, we talk about that in a separate podcast in Sparks. However, so the whole idea is don't be at the mercy of someone else's unorganized schedule. Be prudent to accommodate for others, given the topic or who you're talking to. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that actually asking others to accommodate to your schedule is not a big ask. People want to do that. So before we go into the fourth section called Build Up, I would recommend do another recap of the day, check in for the day, get that email, get the notification, close the loop of the day, close the loop of what's going on, and making sure that you have a clear mind before you go into the build-up time. So build-up time, you've made it. This is the fourth section of the day, the fourth segment. And here, this can take anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour. If you're really quick, it can sometimes take 5 minutes. Maybe you don't have that much to build up. But build-up time is to recap the day and focus on preparing for tomorrow. And this includes pre-scheduling the actions that you'll be doing during your 80-20 time tomorrow. And that's the rule for 80-20. Come prepared. And also preparing for tomorrow's meetings, or reading up on some research, or buffing up on research on what you need to do to be at your best for that meeting, that occasion, that proposal. Making sure that you show up at your peak for tomorrow. This will allow you to not only show up at your best, but it'll also lower your stress and feel confident moving into the next day. So my only rule here is that you do quiet down your notifications to start preparing for the evening, and limit your exposure to notifications for the evening. You know, that's not a hard rule that you don't take notifications during your evening time, but we'll talk about that in just a second during your evening and night routine, and being flexible around that. So for the fifth section of the day is your evening and night routine. Here again, do what you love. Focus on what is important to you. You set the rules here. My only advice, now this isn't a rule, but my only advice is that you be intentional with your focus, intentional with your conversations, intentional with your screen time. You don't get your time back if you've worked very hard and focused on everything that we actually just went through on your 80-20 map, your evening and your night. If that starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or if that starts at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, this time is yours. And if you followed what we've just laid out, you should own this. You shouldn't have anything from the day bleeding into the evening. So that's the key goal here. I would just highly, have this time be dedicated to what you love, to others, for those who you love around you, or the activities that you find passion in. Just being fully present in that time. So morning and evening, fully present throughout the day, of course, but you see what I'm getting at. Don't be distracted by the notifications, the emails, the client pings in the evenings. Like they will get resolved unless it's a super emergency. Again, be prudent. This is advice. This is not a hard rule. So remember, investing in yourself, investing in your mental health, investing in your physical health and your relationships will allow you to perform better every area of your life. So start today.